it's summer. So now the summer blockbuster season is here with us, and that means, movies that cost absolutely billions are high concept. High concept is an idea that was kind of, well, to the best of my knowledge, was first really pioneered by Steven Spielberg, and it's this whole thing about if you could, the best movies are movies that you can describe in 25 words, so they can be pitched to the studio in 25 words, and the studio that can then pitch them to the audience in 25 words. So, in the case of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Brad and Angelina are undercover assassins, both of whom discover that the other is an undercover assassin attempting to kill them. That's it. That's basically it. And that's probably like 21, 22. So fine, there we go, $110 million, go off and enjoy yourself. Doug Liman, who was the director who originally was like a character actor director, directed Swingers, which I like very much, and Go, which I like quite a lot, and then did The Bourne Identity. The first one, which is The Bourne Identity, isn't it? Yes. Which is basically a chase movie with a bit of characterization, but is nothing like as good as the Paul Greengrass one, which is The Bourne Supremacy, which is much, much better. Largely, I think, because Paul Greengrass is a really terrific and underrated director. So now Doug Liman is brought in to do the same thing. We want a character comedy, and it's all to do with characters, it's all to do with relationships of these two people. They're boring, they've got an ordinary relationship, but actually secretly they're both assassins. Neither of them know about the other ones, and we want that to be the main thing. But obviously, because it's a summer blockbuster, we want everything to blow up all the time. We want loads of car chases, we want rockets, bombs, helicopters. That's what we want.
We do.
And in the middle of it, we'd like some snappy, sassy, marital dialogue. Let's hear a little bit of it. It gives us a perfect taste. This is Brad in a lift that Angelina has wired up with rockets and bombs. Be still my aching sides.
It's never going to work, honey. It's never going to work because you constantly underestimate me.
Do I?
You have no idea who I am. You have no idea what I'm capable of.
Well, back at you, baby.
Let me guess. Shape charged on the counterbalance cable, 2 more on the primary and secondary brakes. Maybe?
He found them. Yes, thank you. Did you also get the base charge of the principal cable? Promise to leave town, or I'll blow it.
Yeah, and then it goes on like that, and we might as well fade it out, okay? So, basically, what you get is this character comedy completely blown out of all proportion and surrounded by a bunch of explosions and a bunch of car chases, which are all directed very loud, very in your face, very sort of zip, zang, boom. And then this other sort of constraining narrative in which Brad and Angelina talk to the camera as if they're talking to a marriage guidance counsellor. Now, I don't know what the production history of this movie is. I know that the original script started, this guy, Simon Kinberg, wrote the script as his master's thesis at Columbia University because he's very interested in Hong Kong films. And he wrote this thing that he said it was a thesis on how marriage is actually like a war zone. And then, of course, what happened is it went to Hollywood and it got rewritten by umpty-thrumpty different writers, because this is exactly what happens in Hollywood. You give it to a committee and somebody says, we need more of this, and someone says, we need more of that, and somebody says, what about that bit and this bit? And the next thing you know, the germ of the idea has completely disintegrated, and all you have is a load of shouting and huffing and puffing and hot air. And it looks to me like this has been extensively reshot. And at some point, somebody said, "No, hang on, we need that thing that they have from When Harry Met Sally, with the people talking to the psychiatrist about their marriage. We need more explosions and more, helicopter gunships and all that stuff. We need more close-ups of Brad and Angelina pouting, because let's face it, that's what we're paying them to do." And they do. Boy, do they pout. I mean, there is not a shot in the film in which either Brad or Angelina are not looking at the camera going, "Don't we look lovely? Don't we?" I mean, sure.
Well, they do, don't they? Really?
Well, they do, but on the other hand, it's in a very kind of plastic and an artificial sort of well, fine sort of way. I mean, personally, I don't think Angelina Jolie is a great actress. I know that she's won awards. I know that everybody thinks that actually she is a very far. I don't get it with her. To me, it's all mannerisms. To me, she is the classic straight-to-video actress who just happens to be earning millions and millions of dollars. Brad Pitt, on the other hand, I think has got something, but it's not in this movie. And so what they do is they go and, wink and nudge and that stuff, and then there's loads and loads more rockets, and there's more nudging and winking and stuff, and then there's loads more rockets, and then you sit there thinking, we've been here for 90 minutes and this is still going on, and there's no more. And in the middle of it all is Vince Vaughn. Now, Vince Vaughn was actually very good in Swingers, and Vince Vaughn pretty much steals the show in Mr. and Mrs. as the guy who runs the assassin agency for whom Brad Pitt works, and the gag, and it is the one gag, is that he lives at home with his mother. I counted 7 laughs in the film, and I think at least 5 of them were gags about the fact that Vince Vaughn lives at home with his mother. It's not terrible. It's not awful. It's not John Borman. It's just not any good. And at 110 whatever it is $million, you kind of think, sorry, you can do the special effects in post. You can do the, make the stars look more glamorous in post. You can do all that, but the thing you can't do in post is fix the script. And it's got so many fingerprints all over. It just looks like, in the same way as Ocean's 12, it looks like a bunch of bankers sat down and added up the sums. And then rather than they took the sums, they took the balance sheet and they turned that into a script. And then that's what you've got. You can literally see the dial with the money going round the side. And it'll make a certain amount of money.
So I've only seen the trailer of it.
Yeah, but you've seen the film.
Well, it just reminded me of Spy Kids.
Yeah.
That whole kind of, we are older people and we have a secret presence and we do secret jobs, but we don't know about it.
But the difference is that Spy Kids is really funny, and Spy Kids is smart and sassy. And incidentally, Spy Kids, of course, is Robert Rodriguez, who then was responsible for Sin City, which people have been complaining about morally bankrupt. Actually, I don't think Robert Rodriguez is morally bankrupt. But Mr. and Mrs., it's just nothing. I mean, it is just like...
It's not Mr. and Mrs., that's a TV show. Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
You have been reviewing the right thing.
Yes, that's right. And at the end, they have to remember what colour everyone's toothbrush is. Although, funnily enough, there was a TV pilot in the 1990s starring Scott Bakula as Mr. Smith, and I can't remember who was Mrs. Smith, but they were both spies. They were undercover spies, but the difference was they knew they were undercover spies, and the fact that they were married was the cover story. But it's like, so it's not even original. And, of course, the title comes from a Hitchcock film from way, way back, which was far superior because it's been a Hitchcock film and actually had characters in it.
Andy and Oonel said, saw Mr. and Mrs. Smith last night and walked out of the cinema early. If Mark says anything good about it, I'm turning off the radio.
Well, you see, we're on the same wavelength.
Mark Vine in Dorset. Simon, could you tell your excellent critic that he also takes a damn good picture?
Really? What does that mean?
A friend of mine was in Cannes this year and was walking down the road when he thought he saw someone he recognised approaching him. Unsure, he swung around with his camera to look again and found a certain Mr. Kermode staring back at him just as quizzically. My mate is quite a big, aggressive-looking chap and assumed that Mark thought he was after a fight. There you go. So, there you go.
I have no memory of it at all, but it was Cannes and my mind was somewhere else.
Neil says, Sin City, saw it last night. Excellent. Does Mark have an idea which scenes were Tarantino's?
Yeah.
Was it the first and the last? The assassin seemed a little disjointed from the rest of the story, even with the rest of the segments. The other scenes did a sort of tie-in, but brutal. Frodo, what have you done?
It's all the stuff in the car, but if you go onto the Internet Movie Database, they'll give you an exact break. It's a very specific thing. It's the stuff in the car. You can see it quite easily.
James says, how could Mark not have been moved by the final scene in Star Wars 3? There were people openly weeping in the theatre that I was in. And on that subject, before you feel as though you need to respond, Vicky in Ely just sorting out the Muppets in Space question, which I set up with. Vicky says, sorry to be a Star Wars nerd, but here you go. Lucas did add Hayden Christensen onto the new DVD version of Return of the Jedi. Sebastian Shaw was in the original version. He played Darth Vader when you see his helmet come off as he dies.
Yeah, fine. Star. Okay, well, there we go. So I've actually seen the version with Hayden Christensen, but he's such a bland nobody that I didn't recognise him.
Could have been
Somebody
anybody.
should make a film starring Hayden Christensen and Orlando Bloom and call it Who the Hell Are Those Two Blokes?
It would make a lot of money. So we have a question for the Martin Scorsese DVD of The Aviator. We've got a couple of them, actually. Are you going to set this question?
Yeah, I've changed the question as well because I didn't like the original one.
Okay, well, you better go out and tell them what
it's easy. So the question is, The Aviator is a biopic of Howard Hughes, and the question is, what was the other famous biopic that Martin Scorsese directed about somebody who one of the production studio executives said he's a total cockroach?
0500 909 693, mayo at bbc.co.uk, 348 Joe Sale.
And if you're wondering what Mark looks like, you are on our homepage at the moment.
And
Top of your head's been chopped off, actually, yes.
No, but it's a picture that was taken like when I was, a long time ago, and I looked like a member of Bros.
There is that, yes.
Lancashire, M55.
What? So you used to look as though you were in Bros as opposed to now.
To what, yeah.
Someone from the Spinners.
Well, I don't think
the old
that
guy
badly.
on the left.
Yeah, that's fine.
In the yellow sweatshirt.
With a flute.
So someone has rung in, by the way, for our aviator competition. Thinks it's Raging Bull.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
So it's all over?
Yeah.
There you go.
So